If you're a functioning high-level alcoholic practicing medicine, don't stop drinking. Dr. Mike says keep practicing and just keep drinking.
Not my words.
In the Law and Order universe, the episodes are judged by two separate yet equally important influencers, a doctor influencer and a lawyer influencer. These are their opinions.
That's right, you saw part 1 on Dr. Mike's channel, but now it's time to talk about the legal repercussions of the very first episode of Law and Order.
In the beginning of this episode, there's a doctor who gave a medication that potentially ended someone's life.
Your daughter is dead.
And he likely gave that medication under the influence of alcohol, so it's time to prosecute.
Spoiler alert, don't practice medicine while under the influence of alcohol.
Failing to perceive a substantial and unjustified risk that might cause Suzanne Morton's death. Criminally negligent homicide.
Consciously disregarding that substantial and unjustified risk. Manslaughter too.
That is bang on.
Why?
You just listed off the different mental states required for the two different crimes. Failing to apprehend a substantial unjustifiable risk, knowing that there is a substantial risk and consciously disregarding it. Dang, Ben Stone absolutely nailed it.
There'll be no prosecution if you testify against Oster.
And no job.
So he actually did engage in a conspiracy with the
intent to cover up.
Yeah, with the intent to cover up. He could be prosecuted, unlike the other doctors who were probably complicit.
2 or 3 times each month he calls, he says he's coming. He's always late because he's drunk.
Wow.
You know what they call those rounds?
Party rounds?
Liver rounds. Everyone knew.
Maybe.
Why liver rounds? Alcohol is metabolized by the liver?
Yeah, I guess. They're doctors. They have a terrible sense of
Yeah,
humor.
true, fair.
Suzanne Morton did have pneumonia.
And Dr. Oster did tell you to lie.
I have flexible hours in my training.
What the crap?
Do you know how important that is when you're raising a child?
That's non-responsive, Doctor.
Oster didn't act drunk.
Yeah, okay, so I guess she covered up the crime.
Is everyone covering for him because he has something hanging over everyone's heads in this department?
I mean, as they said, this doctor is a combination of Albert Schweitzer and Albert Einstein, so...
Yeah, this is amazing.
He never acted drunk.
But he was drunk, wasn't he?
And he was always drunk on liver rounds.
Giving it 2 medications that have a bad interaction happens as mistakes all the time in our healthcare system. So the question is, how does being drunk impact your ability to make a mistake? If it drastically raises the chance of you making a mistake and then someone suffers, does that become the crime and you've proved it?
Is there any colorable reason why someone would prescribe this kind of medication under these circumstances?
No one gives opioids for body aches when they're sick, but that's the only medicine he gave that was problematic because the other medicine she was already taking for her mental health. If he knew that, that's the crime. But if the resident said, hey, doctor, she's on it, and he ignored him because he's drunk.
That really goes to criminal recklessness. Knowing and seeing the unjustifiable risk, ignoring it, and moving forward anyway.
Sure.
And he did tell you to lie, didn't he?
Am I going to lose my license?
This is really, really bad practice by the district attorneys here. They're interviewing a witness alone. If they ever want to contradict what this witness is saying, they would have to call themselves to the stand. Let's say this doctor witness
Flips.
And she's like, no, he was totally sober.
Yeah.
It's like, well, didn't you tell me
They're gonna say,
that he was totally drunk? She'll be like, no, I never said that. You gotta have a police officer in the room that says, yeah, I heard her confess to the crime.
Yeah, it just saved us a lot of shoe leather. Stivic versus Oster. In re the death of Angela Stivic, age 11.
Why is it that if it was drinking and driving and then they harm someone, it's a closed case, but a doctor doing it, it's not?
Because there are specific laws that deal with drinking and driving, because it's so problematic.
So there is no law that says you can't practice while drunk?
Probably not. It would be a more generalized rule, like reckless homicide.
Wow. You said if you're educated on the risks of drinking while under the influence and then you do it again after that, you're knowledgeable and they can prove that now, so they add more charges. Can't you then say, because this is an expert of the human body, this doctor, that they should know that drinking and practicing medicine is even worse than a regular person?
100%. And that is a huge problem with the defense that they're creating. They're saying, like, this is the greatest doctor that's ever lived.
Yeah.
Well, then he should
know.
really know
Yeah.
it's bad to practice while intoxicated. A better strategy would be, this guy's a terrible doctor.
Yeah.
It's not because he's drunk, it's because he's a terrible doctor.
Yeah.
You objected to the administration of meperidine?
I suggested acetaminophen, but Dr. Oster grew angry. He said if I didn't like the way the hospital was being run, that I should continue my training elsewhere.
That doctor would make a terrible, terrible witness.
Why?
Because he lied to the police and tried to cover up the mistake.
Yeah, okay.
I would destroy that guy on cross.
Fair.
Do you know how long Dr. Oster has been practicing medicine, Dr. Issa?
Objection, relevance, speculation.
I don't know, 25 years maybe?
And do you know where he went to medical school?
He's really asking a bunch of questions from this witness that this witness shouldn't really know the answer to.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have to ask every doctor that worked with him.
Exactly.
Did you know my client went to Harvard?
Yeah.
Harvard, I believe.
That's correct. How long have you been a doctor?
2 years, sir.
I see. And where did you go to medical school?
At the University of Peshawar.
Thank you.
That is one of the least effective cross-examinations.
Yeah, what does that
I've
give
ever
you?
Seen.
They're not challenging whether or not you gave the right medicine.
Insane.
They're challenging the fact that you were drunk while practicing medicine.
Dr. Mills, were you present on March 15th when Suzanne Morton was admitted?
Yes.
And what was your reaction when Dr. Oster prepared to inject Suzanne Morton with meperidine?
I said her chart showed she was taking phenelzine. But Paradine was contraindicated.
There's a lot here that the defense attorney could absolutely go after. Number one, she lied and covered it up.
Yes.
And in a way that probably could be twisted to make it seem like this was a possible okay thing to prescribe. And the jury isn't going to necessarily know that this is a horrible narcotic.
Exactly, yeah.
Isn't it true that you had to run a second toxicological screen
Sit
to
down.
even find meperidine and phenelzine in Suzanne Morton's body?
That's because both drugs are unusual unto themselves
Thank you, Doctor.
and would not be found unless specifically requested,
Thank you, Doctor.
which they were.
There are much better strategies for getting a witness to stop their answer, and none of them are just saying, thank you!
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Doctor.
Mainly, you'd want to talk to the judge and say, Your Honor, I object. This is non-responsive. I asked a yes or no question. You're training the witness to stop speaking after they've given you the answer that you want.
The fact that they had to run a second test has nothing to do with the situation.
Yeah.
The fact that they had to run a second test was because the first test didn't include those medications.
Right.
So my answer to that would be like, no, I didn't have to run a second test. I had to run the first test for those medications.
Yeah.
Isn't it possible that pneumonia killed Suzanne
Oh,
Morton?
no.
Oh.
It's possible that death rays from Mars killed her.
What?
But I don't
Objection,
think so.
non-responsive. Yeah. I mean, so some people do ask similar questions in real life, and you get answers like that. But more likely what's going to happen is immediately the first redirect question by the district attorney is, so you said it was possible.
How likely?
How likely is that? You're teeing up the district attorney to absolutely
Sure.
crush you.
Dr. Oster must have spoken to you during the course of the party.
Every 5 minutes. Fill her up.
Was his speech slurred?
Not so I remember.
Did he seem drunk in any way?
I never saw anyone hold his liquor better.
Ooh. Ooh.
So-
Ooh, that's a little bit of a problem.
Yeah, this guy was drinking like a fish, but boy, he was...
Metabolizing it quite well.
I guess.
During your years of research into alcoholism, Dr. Walters, have you ever observed people who appear to be sober but are in fact drunk?
It happens all the time.
It could happen to Dr. Oster?
Objection. It could happen to my Aunt Minnie, but it doesn't.
Oh my God. That is not how you make an
That made
objection.
me giggle, though. That was pretty good. I don't know. He looks very likable here.
Yikes. I mean, if you're going to do nonsense like that to pander to the jury, you got to say, objection, relevance. You have to have some grounds for the objection. You can't just say...
Objection, my Aunt Minnie.
My Aunt Minnie. Objection, Aunt Minnie.
I'll rephrase the question. If a 55-year-old man weighing 185 pounds, having consumed 10 shots of bourbon in 2 hours, appears to be stone cold sober, does that mean he is in fact in full possession of his faculties?
No.
Which is what we just talked about.
Yeah, I'm glad that we finally have an expert here because you are allowed to pose hypotheticals to an expert.
Now, if that same 55-year-old man weighing 185 pounds has several drinks, and he appears to be quite sober, and makes a mistake, would that mistake necessarily be caused by his drinking, or might he have made that mistake anyway?
Obviously, that's impossible to say. You'd have to be that 55-year-old man to know.
Well, I mean, that's a really terrible way of putting it. Even that 55-year-old man wouldn't necessarily know one way or the other, you know.
I mean, you would have to be in their mind to know.
Where did you spend the week of June 10th, Mr. Hoffman?
In Maine, fishing.
Oh.
Was Edward Oster with you?
No.
Did he ask you to tell people that he had been with you on that trip?
Yes.
I just find it amazing that this guy asked like a dozen people to lie for him.
Yeah.
And they all said, yeah, absolutely. You know, like, yeah, we know that girl died in the ER just a little while ago. We're totally cool with covering up all your crimes.
Yeah.
And why was that, Mr. Hoffman?
He didn't want anyone to know where he was. He checked himself into a clinic.
Ah.
The Colson Clinic.
Okay. He knows he has a drinking problem, and he doesn't want anyone else to know he has a drinking problem. That is consciousness of guilt and consciousness of a substantial risk. Yeah, it's super bad news for the doctor.
Yep.
What kind of clinic is the Colson Clinic? Mr. Hoffman?
Rehab, I assume.
It's a substance abuse clinic.
There you go.
Thank you. How long does your treatment program last?
28 days.
How long did Dr. Oster stay?
6 days. He left against our advice.
Would you say that Dr. Oster knew he was an alcoholic by the time he left?
Oh, he would never have come in the first place if he hadn't.
I have no further questions.
Are you positive? Now, did Dr. Oster say to you, I am an alcoholic?
Oh.
Good question. Oh.
In fact, didn't Dr. Oster say to you, I am not an alcoholic?
You must have...
Yes or no, Dr. Rasmussen, please. Did he say, I am not an alcoholic?
Yes.
The redirect is going to be crushing. First of all, have other alcoholics come to you and
said
said they were not an
alcoholic.
alcoholic.
Yeah.
In fact, the first step is admitting you're an alcoholic because alcoholics don't like to admit that they're alcoholics.
Did Dr. Oster discuss his drinking with you?
Anything that transpired between Dr. Oster and myself is protected by patient-doctor privilege.
But as well as patient and doctor, you're friends.
We are.
Where did you have lunch with him on June 7th? In your office?
No. At the Four Seasons.
Did you conduct your physical examination of Dr. Oster there?
No. I told him that if he didn't stop drinking, he'd be dead in 5 years.
How do they know he said that?
That's just Dick Wolf writing.
The defense calls Dr. Edward Oster.
He's dropping his amendment. What is the amendment?
The Fifth Amendment.
The Fifth
So the
Amendment.
tragic death of a 6-year-old led to sight for one child and a new heart for another. Oh, the boy who got the heart is now the star shortstop of the Little League baseball team.
And finally, how many...
What is he testifying how good of a doctor he is?
No, he's testifying that because this girl died, other patients got organs.
What the hell does that have to do with anything?
Hold on, I really like the look that guy in the jury gave. Just like, oh boy.
Oh yeah.
Mr. Stone, the hour's almost up. Could you hold your cross-examination until after lunch?
Of course, Your Honor.
Oh wow.
That's bad? That feels bad.
No. They get the entire lunchtime to prepare their cross-examination.
Oh.
If you get that time, you are taking that time.
And medically speaking, judges who recently ate will give lighter sentences if you're tried just after lunch.
Yeah, that is true.
That many?
Drinking
Have
during
you
lunch.
had a drink today?
Objection, Your Honor. Relevancy.
What? That's all, you're allowed, right?
Yeah, that would be absolutely admissible.
Yeah.
Your state of mind and your ability to practice medicine while being intoxicated, 100% relevant. Like, oh boy.
Yes.
More than one?
Yes.
Yes.
How many more than one?
So
I lost count of 49.
I mean, any answer that he gives is bad. He could lie and say the incorrect number, in which case it's like, oh wow, he can't even remember how many he had. Or he could be honest and say, I had X number. This is a potentially very dangerous cross-examination because we've now established that he's been drinking a lot during lunch.
Mm-hmm.
But if he's able to have all of his mental faculties, then you've kind of shown that you weren't criminally reckless.
I'm not sure.
I mean, that's bad
Do
testimony.
you recall, was it between 2 and 5 drinks?
I don't recall.
Doctor, is it not a fact that you had 6 bourbons on the rocks at Chance's Pub not 45 minutes ago?
Objection, Your Honor.
I'll allow
On
it.
what grounds?
Let's move on, Mr. Stone.
Oh my God, we've
Move
established.
on?
Yeah, no, this is, first of all, I'll allow it and let's move on are two contradictory statements by
Yeah.
the judge. If I was the district attorney here, I really would have milked these questions for more because he really went for the ultimate question, but he could have said, is it possible that you had as many as 6 bourbons? You know, out of everything, his inability to remember how many drinks he had really goes, I think, to the mental faculties and being able to practice medicine.
Would you step into the well, Dr. Oster?
Objection, Your Honor. There's no need for Dr. Oster to stand.
Sidebar,
Objection,
please, Your
Aunt
Honor.
Minnie. There's no need.
Wait, is he going
Not
to do a
a-
sobriety test?
Yeah.
What's going on, Mr. Stone?
Does Dr. Oster look drunk to you, Your Honor?
What the hell is that supposed to mean?
I must be allowed to show Dr. Oster is in the courtroom and he's drunk.
Your Honor, I strenuously object.
No, he strenuously objects.
Is that,
Oh my
are there levels to objections? Is strenuous the highest level?
Yeah, that's not a thing. That is, I mean, and a few years later, Aaron Sorkin would use that, I strenuously object, in A Few Good Men.
Your Honor, the defense strenuously objects and requests an 802 conference so that His Honor might have an opportunity to hear discussion.
Oh, wow. Strenuously object, and I should take some time to reconsider.
Including the judge.
And they would spend like the next 10 minutes making fun of Demi Moore for saying, I strenuously object in court.
That's good.
It's so, oh my God.
Proceed, Mr. Stone.
Finally, the judge
Into the
got
well,
it.
doctor.
And the defense attorney,
And then the guy gets up.
the defense attorney made 0 objections, valid
This
objections.
is the New York City Police Department manual. I'm going to administer a standard test
You can't
to
say
determine whether a person is operating a
You can't
motor
say that?
vehicle.
He's testifying. He's like, he's explaining what he has in his hand.
Can he say that to the person, to the witness?
Not, I mean, do you recognize this? This is the, I guess you could ask if you recognize this,
Yeah.
but there's no reason he would. What you do is you make him perform the test, hold the book, then you call like a police officer.
Got it, okay.
Explain what this book is.
Yeah, explain what I just did.
Yeah, and you were in court when I administered this test. Did I administer this test correctly?
Yeah.
Did this guy fail this test? Yeah, that's how you would do it.
Under the influence.
This is an outrage.
There you go.
As Mr.
Play that
Stone
up.
instructs you,
Well,
doctor.
take the 5th, buddy. Now, something like this actually did happen
No way.
in court. Not this in particular, but in a very famous case, the O.J. Simpson case.
With the glove?
With the glove. He was asked to wear the glove. I think he probably could have taken the 5th and refused to do it. There's speculation that once he knew he was going to be doing that, he basically did like hand curls for like 2 weeks. I mean, the craziest thing is that he was wearing a latex glove so as not to contaminate the leather glove. And so between him probably bulking up his hand, wearing a latex glove.
What? I didn't know any of this.
Hey,
Is this known?
Well, yeah, it happened on
He's
TV.
free right now.
Yeah.
Raise your arm
to the level of your shoulder. Close your eyes and point to your nose with your index finger.
Missed.
He didn't even try to correct it. He didn't even go.
Nailed it.
There's something to be said about someone who is drinking that much every day. If they were to stop, there's a risk of developing something known as DTs, delirium tremens, where they can actually have seizures, violent actual tremors, psychiatric breaks because they're not consuming alcohol as part of their withdrawal. Withdrawal from alcohol is one of the worst withdrawals, maybe on the same level as opioids. So like those are the two most withdrawal-prone medications.
Yeah, so you heard it here. If you're a functioning high-level alcoholic practicing medicine, don't stop drinking. Dr. Mike says keep practicing and just keep drinking.
Not my words. Coming from the lawyer himself.
It's your testimony. You're the one that's under oath. All right, now it's time for the grading. Dr. Mike, what kind of medical grade does this show get?
Medico-ethically, I would give this an F because you shouldn't practice medicine under the influence. But medical accuracy, I'd give it a B-. Had the chest compressions been a little bit better, I would have given it a higher grade, so not bad.
Similarly, legally speaking, a lot of accuracy. They got the mental states of different kinds of homicides right. Incredible. There were some courtroom shenanigans, but I gotta say, B+, great episode of Law & Order. So if you haven't seen it, go see part 1 on Dr. Mike's channel, and until next time, we'll see you in court.
And I'll stay, or you stay happy and healthy.
Out of court. Not in court.
Out of court.
Now, Dr. Mike and I had a ton of fun shooting this. We actually spent hours watching and riffing on each other, and his dog Bear made many unscheduled appearances. But not all that footage could make its way into the YouTube version, which is why my fellow creators and I created Nebula, today's sponsor. There you can find the extended version of this video that's basically twice as long. I put all of my videos up there early and ad-free. And I'm not only on Nebula, but I'm a co-owner, because Nebula is a streaming platform built for creators by creators. And for the holidays, they're doing something completely wild. Nebula is offering, until the end of the month, a lifetime membership. Instead of a subscription, it's a one-time payment that will get you everything Nebula offers forever. And I know tens of thousands of you signed up for Nebula using the CuriosityStream bundle, but unfortunately that's ending. CuriosityStream has informed us, and even included in their latest SEC filing, that they don't intend to pay us bundle revenue in 2024. This means that I won't get any money from the bundle subscription. So the bundle is breaking and you're not gonna be able to have access to Nebula anymore after 2024. Maybe I'll make a video about that in the future. But if you'd like to support me, the only way to ensure that the money you spend on Nebula goes to me is to sign up directly. So no, Nebula is not going bankrupt. On the contrary, it's more successful than it's ever been. But we're offering lifetime memberships for a select few fans so that we can make even more original content. Huge productions from your favorite creators. And we're in it for the long haul. Lifetime memberships allow us to not take on outside investors. It's the opposite of a going out of business sale. It's a going into bigger business sale. And if you're new here, what Nebula offers includes tons of exclusive videos from me, original series from your favorite people, movies, plays, classes, and more. With your favorites like Johnny Harris, Neo, Jetlag, Real Engineering, Real Life Lore, and LegalEagle, we create the content that other people react to. And you can see my feature-length documentary, Bad Law Words Good, other Nebula exclusive content, including my full-length interview with the screenwriter of My Cousin Vinny, and my not-for-safe video about lawsuits too hot for YouTube. But like I said, until the end of the month, you can get an exclusive lifetime membership. It's $300 for life. No tricks, no gimmicks. That's it forever. And if that's not your speed, that's completely fine. You can still get a 40% discount on a yearly membership that pencils out to less than $3 per month. And if you want to pay monthly, that's fine too. We have that option. So click on the link that's on screen right now or down below to get your lifetime membership right now or a huge 40% discount on yearly. Just click right now down below before that deal goes away. And after that, click on this link over here for more LegalEagle, or I'll see you in court.